Oh my god. That was more than what I wanted to see of Mark Wahlberg. Good lord. Earlier this month was the 20th anniversary premiere of Boogie Nights, a movie set in the 70s as it chronicles a porn star in the golden age of porno flicks. Written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson and featuring an ensemble cast of actors. Eddie Adams is our main character, working as a busboy at a nightclub. And how old is this MC? 17? Wow, the 70s were a cool time to live. Anyway, the story is a simple rags to riches narrative, although just like a good movie, this movie takes us through twists and turns throughout a 6-year period. Besides, Boogie Nights isn't all about Eddie, the supporting cast gets a significant amount of focus as well. More on that later. Eddie is a nice guy who has a rough home life, not to mention he doesn't care about school. You're not the only one, pal. He's a tad materialistic and has an it factor that the ladies really love him for.
Well, you better let the poor guy out!
All in all, Eddie is a solid main character who we sympathize with throughout. He's a real stand-up guy. Now, onto his supporting cast. Jack Horner is a porn director who thinks of his work as art and wants to push the envelope in each film he makes. He really takes pride in his work. Another thing is he's also very caring about the associates that he works with, so he's kind of a nice guy, I guess. He lets whatever slide and forms a son relationship with Eddie. God, porn is weird. Amber is Jack's wife, I guess. She's a sexy MILF who from the very beginning wants sex with Eddie. They have a friends with benefits thing going on. She may be living with Jack, but man, does she love Eddie as her baby.
I wanted you to come in and give me a minute so I could tell you how much I love you. I mean, it's going to be a new year and we're going to start things and do things. And I just wanted you to know how much I care about you. I really care about you, honey. You're my little baby.
Thank you, Amber.
You're the best thing in the world that's happened to me since my son went off. And I love you, honey.
I love you too.
You're amazing.
Oh, you feel so good, Amber.
Are you ready to come?
Yeah.
Come in me.
What?
Don't worry, I'm fixed. I want you to come in me.
Okay. Yeah. Oh.
Don't ask me, I don't know how the porn industry works. Apparently everything is just loose and ready. Speaking of loose and ready, I'm gonna talk about Bill and his wife next. If anyone needed a keep your chin up speech or a divorce attorney, it's Bill. Bill is one of Jack's associates. He's very much within Jack's inner circle, whilst his wife f***s anyone but Bill. Seriously, what a slut. What does Bill do, you say? He just takes it. That is until his subplot ends, of course. Easily one of the best scenes in the movie. Brandy, or Roller Girl as they call her, is another one of Jack's associates. She's fairly developed as a character. From what I can analyze, she doesn't like thinking about her past or being reminded of it. Not to mention, secretly, she may have low self-esteem.
Do you remember me? We went to school together? Your name's Brandy, right? Brandy? Brandy's your name, right?
No. I know what you're talking about.
Your name's not Brandy? No. Okay.
Even though she has one of the smaller subplots, I still liked her character a lot. Buck and Becky's relationships and lives are the ones that change the most over time. Buck is an African-American cowboy. He's kind of out of touch with time and even his own culture. I'll give him credit, he's being unique. Becky, on the other hand, is ashamed of Buck, it seems. She doesn't get much development either. Where Buck and his new spouse end up at the end of the movie makes me happy. He's one of the supporting characters that I'm glad got a good ending. There are other characters to talk about like Maurice, Scotty, Colonel James, and Reed. Maurice and Scotty are minor characters that left very little impact. Colonel James is the producer of Jack's films. He's rich and he gets a new chick every week. Reed, for some reason, is just forgettable. I know that's not what you want to hear. It's not really John C. Reilly's fault or the writing. When he's having conversations with Eddie, he's sort of interesting, but whenever I think about it, he didn't really leave much of an impression on me. He's just there and he's sort of bland. For some characters, some subplots ended on a good note, and for others, it ended on a bad note. It's very glitz and glamorous, or very ugly and gritty. Those are the two sides of Boogie Nights. The writing and dialogue is pretty good, with numerous quotable lines. I have to give props to Paul Thomas Anderson for the writing. His directing really makes the movie stand out with his visuals and angles. His direction is superb, so superb that you couldn't tell that there was tension between star Burt Reynolds and Paul Thomas Anderson. That just shows how sharp the direction is. The ensemble cast does a fantastic job bringing the script to life, with standouts being Mark Wahlberg, Julianne Moore, Burt Reynolds, Don Cheadle, Heather Graham, Melora Walters, and Alfred Molina. Real quick, I want to highlight Alfred Molina for a hilarious yet tension-filled mansion scene.
So, got something? Huh? We got something here?
There it is. That's
right.
about half key right there. And that is some quality shit. If you want to
Oh, don't worry about it.
that out, I mean, go ahead. You know, if you want.
No, wait. Step hold up. I love that song.
Throughout Boogie Nights is not just the glitzy, glamorous life of a porn star, it also shows a darker, uglier side of being a porn star. Those struggles can get pretty real. I love the authenticity and I really appreciate it. The soundtrack is full of licensed hits from back in the 70s for the most part. The song choices really complement already well-acted and well-written scenes. Soundtrack is good, so go listen to it. All positives aside, it is about that time of the review. It's time I list my negatives. As mentioned before, I found Reed to be sort of bland and forgettable character. I would like to have seen more of Eddie's home life. He was only there for 2 scenes where he interacts with his parents, and when he does leave his parents' house, there was no build up to that point. Why doesn't he care about school? And why he leaves home as a runaway? It just happens without us, the audience, not gradually getting to that point. A subplot with Scott is brought up and never visited again in the movie. So with that, there's 3 negatives that have come to my attention. While a lot of these would have made for a longer movie, I'm all for it. It's that compelling and complete. I still have to give Paul Thomas Anderson a lot of credit for juggling and focusing on each character. He managed to make a movie with a lot of characters work. Each had enough screen time and depth for them to be developed and by extension feel like a real person. Maybe Sony should give Paul Thomas Anderson a call about one of their soon-to-fail spin-offs. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, especially the second half. With a couple flaws, this movie's verdict is near perfection. If you didn't know, I have a new grading system that is best to worst. From now on, I'll be putting this in the video description of my reviews. Anyway, do watch this 70s, early 80s period piece. Watch out for that last scene, it's a real eye-catcher. I'm Leno Mars of the MMCA Productions crew, and I'll see you next time.
91 Kriegsminister, Streichholz und Benzinkanister hielten sich für schlaue Leute.